Jesuit. You know, girls kind of cruise by in the afternoon. You know, that. My name is Angie Ammon, and I'm Molly Ammon's mother. And my daughter died 2 years ago this spring break from alcohol poisoning. So Will asked me if I would come and talk to this club a little bit about alcohol poisoning. And I don't know if you all know much about it. I didn't, to be honest with you. You know, I thought kids got drunk and threw up or you passed out or whatever. And I really did not realize how serious the problem was and that it could actually kill you. Molly was a freshman at the University of Florida. She graduated from plant. You can see pictures of her. I don't know her mother, I'm biased, but she was a beautiful girl. She was beautiful inside and outside. She was full of life. She had a lot of friends. She was very active in her church and community. She logged over 300 hours of community service. She got into every college she applied to. She was a bright future scholar, National Honor Society, lettered in cross country. On paper, everything was just perfect. She went off to the University of Florida, which was her first choice, which was a big shock for us because we all go to Florida State in my family. We've never had a Gator. But Molly liked to do things a little differently. Very proud of her. Went through Rush, got into her top choice of sorority, which also happens to be the best one at the University of Florida. As you can see, everything was going for Molly. Molly, you know, went out with her friends in college, and I knew they partied because I'm on Facebook. I could see the pictures, but I'd never gotten any signs that she was drinking too much or that there was a problem, any more than I saw on everybody else's Facebook pages. You know, the solo cups, I know it's not iced tea, whatever. The last spring break, she had asked me if she could go to Pensacola. There were a whole bunch of sorority girls that were going out to Pensacola, and she wanted to go up with them. And I was so nervous. You know how you ever have that inside uneasy feeling? I just didn't like it. But I let her go because she's in college. And I said, okay, but Molly, there's a naval base in Pensacola. You're going to be in those bars. There's going to be this 27-year-old man who's going to come up and pretend like he's 18. Please don't trust anybody in Pensacola. They're all older, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Mom. She came home from Pensacola. Everything was great. The last day of Molly's life, we had a wonderful day together. We got up, we spent the day together, we had lunch. It was going to be a Gasparilla debutante in November. We went and picked out her debutante ball gown. And then she came home to work on a paper that was due on Tuesday. Her spring break was overlapping with her very best friend. Florida's ended on Sunday. She'll be back at school on Monday. And one of her very best friends goes to Alabama, and theirs was just starting. So Saturday she said, can I go to the beach with Megan and some of Megan's friends? We're going to spend the night. Megan's boyfriend's father has a condo there. He said we can go. Absolutely. She's at the beach. She's working on paper. She's with her best friend Megan, who I've known since EC4. They've always been to school together. Nothing could go wrong. But it did. They were drinking. They were mixing drinks. They had whiskey. They had beer. They were playing beer pong. And they noticed that Molly was drunk. She wasn't incoherent. She wasn't stumbling down. You know, she wasn't steady on her feet. But she was making sense. Her eyes weren't rolling in the back of her head. And they realized she'd had too much to drink, so they put her to bed. They had heard about people aspirating, where you put them to bed and they choke on their own vomit. They knew not to do that. They put her on her stomach. They went and checked on her several times during the night. At 9:30, they put her to bed at 2 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. At 9:30, when they went to go leave, and they went to roll her over, she had died. Molly had not aspirated. Molly's blood alcohol level was a 0.4. That's the equivalent, some people say 9 shots, some people say 13 shots of alcohol on a girl that was a runner and had no body fat. It literally slowed her lungs down, stopped her heart, and she died. So I want to tell you all a little something, educate you all about drinking. I would love for my takeaway message to you all to be, just don't do it. It's illegal at your age, you get in trouble for it, but I know most of you won't listen to me. But you need to know what to in the event that somebody has had too much to drink. And this is where you have to look out for your fellow man, because you'll be too drunk to call for help. A drunk person doesn't know they've had too much. And if any of you all have already been drinking, you all know that. 1 drink tastes good, 2 chews better, 3, wow, I'm feeling great, by 4, you don't know how you're feeling. The CDC did a survey 2 years ago where they interviewed high school kids. Most kids started drinking at 14. Freshmen, 45% admitted to have been drunk to where they blacked out. 45%. This is kids all over the country. It jumps to 62% for you seniors that admit to being drunk till they passed out. Alcohol poisoning kills 23,000 women every year, 18,000 men every year. 23,000. That's 5 times as many people as die from gun violence. We have all this hoopla now about safety and guns. Alcohol kills more. When the CDC did their report and they interviewed high school kids, only 8% of high school kids admitted to being drunk and driving or getting in the car with an impaired person. That lesson, teenagers get an A+ on. That's a phenomenon that my age group hasn't learned yet, because we didn't grow up with DUI laws. So we think we have 2 glasses of wine at dinner, we're okay. You know, that whole commercial, buzz driving is drunk driving, that's aimed at my age group. You guys got that message loud and clear, and that's awesome. But now you have to get the message about what can happen if your friend has had too much to drink. And the very honest fact is, they can absolutely die. It can absolutely kill you. In the event that somebody has alcohol poisoning, you know because they're not making sense, like Molly wasn't. You know when a friend's drunk, you can tell it. Very few people hide being that drunk. And the absolute worst thing you can do is put that person to death. I didn't know that. I'm not sure if they had called me and said, Mrs. Ammon, Molly's drunk. I mean, I would want to reach her up. I'd like to think I would have recognized how bad it was, and I would have called for help. But I'm not sure I would have. I didn't know it. I mean, I went to college. I was in a sorority. I went to parties. We always heard, let them sleep it off. And that's the worst thing you can do. When you put a drunk person to bed, their blood alcohol level continues to rise. So Molly may not have been a 0.4 when they put her to bed, but she was when they took her and did an autopsy on her. Blood alcohol of that level will do several things. Like I said, the very first thing it will do is make you sick. Now, if you're sick and you're awake and you're sitting up and you've got friends with you and you're throwing up, yes, you are getting those toxins out of your system. And a lot of people think that's great, they're throwing up, it's a good sign. It is a little bit, but don't kid yourselves. Boys especially die from alcohol poisoning once they have been throwing up. It affects the white matter of their brain, which girls rejuvenate at a much higher rate than boys do. And boys can have long-standing damage from alcohol poisoning. Whenever I talk to a group of mixed teenagers, the problem is a lot more prevalent in girls. But I always want to make sure that the boys come away with the message. You don't get a free pass on this one. Boys die too. Not at the rate that girls die. There's a lot of reasons for that. A, girls lack the enzyme in their stomach that metabolizes. It doesn't really metabolize, it breaks up the alcohol. Boys have more water in their body than girls have, so they flush it out faster. But especially you seniors, you're going to be going away to college next year. You're going to be going to fraternity parties. A lot of people pledge parties for their pledge fraternities where there'll be drinking games, and there will be girls at those parties. And you need to know the signs, especially with a girl. It can happen like this. Molly was sitting in a circle, singing Taylor Swift songs, thinking she was funny, telling stories, and when they were putting her to bed, she was saying, am I not the funniest person you know? And they're like, this, Molly, you're funny. She was making some sense to them. And when they went in the morning, she wasn't there. I can tell you all, Florida has passed a 911 Good Samaritan law. A lot of kids are afraid to call for help because they're going to get in trouble. University of Florida has a total amnesty, so if you happen to go to the University of Florida and your best friend gets drunk and you call for help, there's no retribution, academic or legal, against you or your friend because you called for help. We passed a 911 law last year. It specifies drug, if you call for a drug overdose. We're waiting right now for an opinion from the Attorney General to see if the drug includes alcohol. Because it might if you're arrested by TPD, and it might not if you're arrested by Lakeland Sheriff. We don't know. We want to know. But my point is, it doesn't matter. If you go to the University of Alabama, there is no amnesty. Who cares? What is the worst trouble you can possibly get into? Suspended from school? Kicked out of your fraternity? Look at her. You don't think her friends would get in trouble if she was still here? It's just not worth a human life. Not your best friend, and not someone that you don't know. I mean, I bet if I asked each one of you, would you save a stranger if you could? You all would say yes. If you wouldn't, your parents are wasting your money at Jesuit, because I know they raised you guys that you would save a stranger. Of course you would save a friend. And you have to call for help. And if you are afraid of calling the police, call a parent. You know, not everybody has the parent that's the easy parent to call. Some are a little crazier than others. I get that. But everybody knows one parent that they know will come and take care of the situation. Let the parent make that determination, if you're afraid to make that determination. And if you call, I spoke up at a sorority at University of Florida, and the girl asked, because I could tell she had just been in that situation, she was crying as she asked, how do I know when I really should call an ambulance and I'm not overreacting and my friends aren't going to be furious? And I told her the very, very second that thought process goes through your brain, that's your inner self saying, I need to call for help. Well, what just happened at the University of Florida about 2 months ago, they were on a road trip. Girl freshman had too much to drink. Her friends scooped her up, put her on the bus. They were at the Tennessee game. Put her on the bus for the ride back to Florida. When some girls that knew Molly saw her on the bus, they had her propped up against a window with a blanket on her, and they recognized that she wasn't moving. And they said, how long has she been like this? And they said, you know what, she'll be fine. We're going to let her sleep it off till we get to Florida. This girl said, no. That's what happened to our friend Molly, and she's not on the road trip. They called for an ambulance in Tennessee. They took her to the hospital. Her blood alcohol was a 0.47. Molly's was a 0.4. They called her parents and said, we're starting life support. We don't think we can save her. We need to get to Knoxville. They pumped her stomach. The girl's back in school. She's doing great. So just calling for help and getting them to a situation where their stomach can be pumped could so easily save their lives. And if your friends are mad at you for calling, oh well.